isn't. No.
Now, do you plan on doing another Zoom?
What's that?
Do you plan on doing another Zoom for,
Yeah. Class in January. Anybody interested?
yeah, but you're also teaching in Winter Haven in January?
That's right.
When
So-
is that?
That starts on January 10th. It's a Tuesday, and there's a morning class, it's basics, and then the afternoon class is portraits.
Okay. Should I do the portraits or the basics?
Yeah, and I'll have that on my website, probably, could be today, maybe tomorrow.
Maybe today or tomorrow?
Yeah,
And should I do the basics or should I do the portrait?
boy. Oh, I don't know, you're advanced, the basics would be good for a refresher for you, but portraits would probably be a little more challenging.
Oh, okay.
Take
And
a
then
Just take a
what
ball.
time of day is the portraits?
Okay,
Like one,
Morning when it's 2 hours, starts from 10 ends at 11. The afternoon starts at 1. I'm sorry, starts at 10, ends at noon. And then the next one starts at 1 and ends at 3.
basically just like we had it.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty.
But
Yeah,
it's at Winter Haven and,
at Ridge
yeah.
Art. I'll send you
Okay.
I'll send y'all an email, just make sure.
okay, how do you enter in the way of the theater?
No, yeah, it's in that side, but you go clear around to the side near the highway 37 there, that main drag highway. There's a door.
You mean
over-
17?
Yeah, there's a door over there. It comes right into the classrooms.
Okay.
I'll send you, Mary, I'll send you an email.
Yeah, I'll be coming Cypress Boulevard, but
Yeah, well, it's on closest to 17. It's 17 in Cypress, and just go closer to 17, and it's that side. It's a side door. You go up the step,
okay.
and there you are. Okay. Oh, I was doing something. What was it? Here we go. If I could find it. Crazy mouse makes a lot of noise. All
And
right.
it's a Tuesday. Tuesday does better for me.
Tuesdays, yes. I like Tuesdays. I like every day.
Oh,
Every day I get to paint, I like. All right, let me share my screen with you. Today I really plan on having some big fun. I say that every time, but anyway, seriously, this time. We'll finish the girl if you haven't finished it, or if you have any questions on finishing it. Today I wanted to get into just a lesson on super realism, and only because it does help as far as observation skills. It's probably a little more difficult than everything else we've done because of the ability to see what you paint. Here's one by Anna Janetz. I really liked the skin tone, and today I'm going to show you another skin tone combination. I used a long time back and when I first started, and then I thought I'll try that again, but it's more of the traditional. A lot of people teach these skin tone colors, so I'll show that to you also today. And it's used on this one. This one I want to show you because if you look at the shapes of how each little small shape is painted as this a shape with lots of variation to it. He wasn't afraid. There's a lot of brush strokes and allowing the transparency of the paint to work for you. So the darkest probably is, quite a few more layers, or they could have been dark, but particularly on the skin where it's darker, more layers. And you can see the detail. There's lots of detail, but yet there's not. It's still a watercolor painting. This one is a paint. Yeah, and I don't know the medium, and I don't know the artist. It was on Pinterest and Pinterest, however you pronounce it, and it showed it as being a painting, and I look closer, it definitely is. But look at the detail of being able to make that glass. My guess is acrylic. I don't think it's oil. I would say it's acrylic. But that would be ultra detail, looks like a photograph. That's way beyond. Here are two that I love the color on the lady on the left. Again, we're looking at wrinkles, and super realism works really cool with the wrinkles, but I want you to notice just these shapes around the eyes and the color that's used. Like every shape, the artist took the time to really paint each shape right. Not like putting a broad brush line across this whole thing. And so that, I think that is quite interesting. It kind of takes us a little more, I would say if you could, starting out with super realism might be cool. I don't particularly like it, but it teaches us lessons about observation. This one on the right, I really like because of the light. And very, very realistic. From a distance, almost photographic. So if you look real close,
Wow.
it doesn't show it, but you can see if you just, it's kind of like glazing over your eyes of these shapes, that little black on the eyebrow or underneath the eyelid shadow, and these shapes here. It's like we've been painting, but just paying a little more attention to the detail. So for realism, which is today's lesson, is really drawing shapes, and when we draw them, really be noticeable of the value shifts. So example being a value shift is on like this. Can you see my mouse?
Yes. Yes. Uh-huh.
I could use a paintbrush. Oh, let's use a pen. All right. So this area here, that
Yeah.
you can see the shift, light, dark, and then gradated. See that real close? Dark, gradated, gradated. All of that is the ability to do that is amazing. I think everyone on here can do that. But to the point of really starting to pay really close attention. And just look at the shape here. There's a, well, not very good, but they say, there we go. That shape in here is like, not only is the value shift lighter, darker, lighter, the color shift, because it looks like it's a birthmark or a bruise, or you know how elderly get those, and you all are going to find out someday what that is. But you can see that that's the color difference. So if we look at our drawing becomes more than just copying. It becomes a roadmap to really take a close look. And you know, when you're painting not so realistic, it doesn't matter as much, but it does matter to be able to see and to actually copy that. I think the observation skills on painting a portrait is critical. I just noticed those that are starting out, most of you are really getting really good at your observation skills, but you can tell the ones that do portraits and they look off is that they just weren't paying close attention, because the reference photo you have to use for portrait painting, not like a choice. And so anyway, you almost paint one shape at a time, and as you paint it, you're watching your reference photo. If you watch some people, they'll look at the reference photo and they'll paint a bunch of stuff without looking again, and then they'll get way off. That's not what we want to do. And then the facial shapes, Wendy, like on yours, especially with children, all of these shapes are soft. There aren't hard edges. The face has very few hard edges. Even the wrinkles are very soft. And make sure you note the patterns in the soft edges. Let me show you what I mean here. This one, here's the shape, but look at the texture that's in this shape, these shapes. Lots of texture, paying close attention to those as you paint them, because you can paint them as you're doing it, but if you're not observant, you don't notice those, you'll lose them. So and then the question is, how much detail do you want? There's always some level of detail, and what you'll have to do is decide what level. And you want to keep it consistent for your whole portrait. Now, background colors, you don't
How
want.
do they get the all the pointing, all the dots on this?
All the dots?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do they get that?
I'll show you just a second what I did on our example today. I would outline this just so I have the shape. Then when I go to paint it, I look at the reference photo and see if I can paint that shape in its texture, those little dots inside. So you don't want to, if you drew every little detail, every little shift in shifting color or value, this thing would be, it'd take you 2 years to print it. I mean,
Yeah.
well, maybe not 2 years, but it would seem like that for sure. So I'll show you that here in just a minute. It's a good question. Who asked that, Joanne?
No, Mary Ann. I was just wondering how it got all those little dots to begin. Jeez.
Well, actually, that's.
I know people use salt, but I wouldn't think that would be.
I know those are painted. Those are painted.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I know.
Unbelievable.
And we need to really pay more attention when we're doing this painting. So, as an example, let's see if I can draw get my pen out. See this shape here? I'm going down.
Mm-hmm.
It's not one solid color, is it? It has some gradation or some little shading here. The edges are softer. And look at this shape under it. This one here. It starts here. I would outline this shape if I were drawing it. I would do it something like this if I could do it with my mouse. I probably would do it something like anyway.
Oh, really?
I'd probably do something like this. But I wouldn't see the shape.
Oh, I did.
I would not draw that. When I go to paint it, I can remember I just use this for roadmap. So when I do this shape, I will then paint it and I'll look closely at that reference photo. And even the eyelid or the eye, it goes across here. That's a shift in value here. And then I would draw it like this if I could get my mouse straight. That was fairly close. I would draw it like this first. Something like that. Then the important shapes are these. Anyway, you're getting the idea. And this shape. And then I might even do this. Everything else, I can look at my reference photo when I go to paint it. That's how I would sketch it.
Wow.
And it gradates over here. Here's another shape. And this shape right here, I would not do, I would go all the way over here. This is how I would probably draw it. And then when I go to paint it, I look at my reference photo. Make sense?
It does, but my drawing isn't that detailed.
Yeah, yeah. Well, oh, your photo or your drawing?
My drawing. Mhm.
Yeah, well, I'm showing you that. Oh, hi, Rob. I'm showing you this now. That way, if you already started it, you know, I can make fun of you. So here's a close-up. Again, the way I would draw this, because you can really see it on this one, I would only draw, and I would remember this would be a gradated side. I would get,
Mhm. So should we redraw ours?
oh, if you want, I think it'd be very helpful. Then I would do this. And then when I go to paint it, and here's this shape.
Mhm.
Now that one has some texture, some variation to it. I'm not going to draw that. But when I go to paint it, I'm going to look real close at my reference drawing. Oops. It's hard to draw this with a mouse. This shape. And then I've got this shape. I probably just want to make sure I remember that overall shape, something like that. And then there's this overall shape. I'll probably do something like this. I might even, I put dots in any place that I want to have gradated or dots. So if I along this line here, I didn't do it today, but this usually I will put a dot instead of a line. To me, that means it's going to be gradated. Just a signal, it's a roadmap. And then
Okay.
so anyway, hope that's helpful. And
Oh, shoot. I was drawing that, but okay.
oh, okay.
No, I was drawing it on the big picture, black and white I have. You're fine. You're fine. I can figure it out.
Okay.
I think my memory's that good, maybe.
Ryan, that was helpful because I've been hearing you talk about shapes for quite some time. And now I see that there's these very small shapes. And then there's the big ones. And I'm sorry, I might have missed this. When you look at something for the first time as a reference, what do you normally see? The big shapes, small shapes? How do you approach that?
I approach it, my preference is I would start probably with the overall shape of the head. But then I usually go to any of the points that are the most important, the eyes and the lips, and I would do the shapes on those. Just because I want to make sure I get those right. But I'm kind of all over the map. When I do it, I just start on one side and I don't really see a person anymore. I just see these shapes. Don't pay attention to the person there. I just see those shapes in there. And it's really, I really like it because when I look at the shapes, I'll show you on the day. I don't know if you can see the pencil drawing or not. There she is. Can you see that?
No,
Probably not, right?
no.
Okay. Oh, you can't now. You have a better chance of seeing it now.
Well, it's still hard to see.
Too light.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
Okay.
some reason it's not gonna let me do that. It's too light. The camera's trying to figure out what to focus on. But anyway, if I see the eye there, I'll just take a pencil. So all that's here is this eye. I'll show you, this is the big shape of that eye. There's no other detail I put in there. Then I have this shape. And this shape. You can see that. And then the eye itself. All I have is something like this. That's all the detail. So when I go to paint each of these shapes, I'll go look at the reference photo. See what in the world I did with my reference photo. So when I go to paint that, you can see here, I could have drawn a line here. I didn't. Because when I go to paint this, I'm going to paint this overall shape right one time, all these little shapes. One shape at a time. And then that would go away. I can make those shapes interesting and I'll see if I can capture it. Does that help, Rob?
Yes, Ron, thanks.
Okay. All right. How many are you ready to do a little shape painting? You gotta get in shape.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I need to get in shape.
All right. First thing we'll do, anyway, that's gonna be a nice dark line there, but that's all right. I want to show you another option for paint flesh colors. And I used to use these quite some time ago. And this week I was playing with, because I had another one, well, I don't have it handy. Another one I was working on. And to me, I didn't want it to be orange, red, or I want it to be just a very flat, not flat, but very believable flesh tone. And an easy way to do an easy flesh tone is yellow ochre. I don't know if you can see that. This is yellow ochre. OCHER, I think. And what you do is add a little cadmium red. That's this color right here. Cadmium red. And when you mix the two, you'll come up with a nice flesh tone. And the more you go on the cadmium or the yellow ochre, then it goes more tan. Or if
I don't think I have.
more red. I don't know if you have yellow ochre or not, but it might be worth investing in it if you have it. It's not cheap. All the yellows are expensive.
Mr. Blosser?
What's that?
Oh, I'm trying to get my somebody attention.
So that's using yellow ochre. If you have it. And I'm going to use that today because if you look at the reference photo, it's very close to those colors. So it's an easy one to remember, yellow ochre and red cadmium. You can also move it over a little bit more to the pinkish if you want, like with the nose, by adding just a little bit of the rose madder or opera rose. You can just move that over a little pinkish. And that would be, you see the color in here in the nose?
Okay.
That would be that color.
And I had to run out of the room. You had yellow ochre,
Uh-huh.
cadmium red, and what other color?
And you can use rose madder or opera rose, and it will move it more toward the pink around this area on her face. It's pink.
Okay.
And then you can go, if you want to get the dark, you put more paint. So more paint content. This would be darker because it just has less water. And then you can also add your crimson. If you want to move the darkness to something like that, or add a little bit of burnt sienna, burnt umber. And if you want to go really darker, you would add, don't use ultramarine blue. I just almost did that. You use the I'm using the blue, Windsor blue. So add some Windsor blue to it. And you can see it gets very dark. But look at those gradations. So I started with, I'll write this down, is yellow ochre. You can correct me if I spell it wrong. I don't think that's right, but anyway. Crimson, no. Cadmium red, cad red. Then I went to burnt sienna, or even some burnt umber. And then I went to Windsor blue. Now, if you use ultramarine blue for there, I'll show you what happens. It's a little bit too startling. It goes really, in Windsor blue has a dulling effect. And the other thing about Windsor blue is the texture it leaves. I forget the name of it when it leaves that texture. And you gotta be careful using Windsor blue on the face because it leaves, what's the name of it when it separates? There's a name for that.
Sedimentation.
Yeah, segmentation. Oh, that's a good word. It's segmentation. So stay away from ultramarine on the face because unless you like that texture, and you'll see what happens to this after it dries. So I stay away from ultramarine blue on the face anywhere because of that, unless I want it. So it's yellow ochre, cad red, burnt sienna with a little burnt umber, and then I go to Windsor. Now you could use the sky.
And can you use any other kind of blue? Because I don't,
Yeah, you can use your sky blue. Any of the lighter blues that you have, cerulean blue would work too.
oh, okay, I got that.
Yeah, just don't use ultramarine, just because, like I told you, it separates. I don't
Okay.
like it on the face
I
because
have peacock blue and marine blue. And
peacock is more on the green side, isn't it, aqua?
cerulean I can use.
Cerulean. Try cerulean. So get you a little piece of paper.
Okay,
See if you can come up with a color swatch.
kiddo. And are we supposed to paint right alongside of you or wait till you're done?
That's up to you. Today I thought maybe we would just paint on one shape at a time. At least the beginning, and then you can move on as fast as you want. So the first shape I'm going to pick will be the fun. Oh, everybody's got the color. Those are the colors we're using. Take that off. Set that over here so I don't lose it. Because that's what I'm using. All right, so the first shape we're going to paint is the eyelid. And what I have is just enough paint, or drawing to show those textures. So I'm going to start with yellow ochre, cadmium red. And it's got more pink to it, so I'm gonna add probably a little more of the crimson color, the Brazilian crimson. And see if that's what I want. Yeah, so that's pretty close to this right here. See how close that is? So I'm going to, this is gonna be two washes to do this. I'm gonna go right across here. Gonna take paint on my brush. Because it's, oh wait, I misread it. Goes all the way across there. There we go. That's what we want. That's what we want to do. And then down here, it's darker, more paint. So I'm gonna go across, clean brush, clean damp brush, and just move some of that paint so it's lighter right along here. Let's see if I can, let me telescope this a little bit. There we go.
You're above the eye.
It's the eyelid. It's this shape.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll just put a line around it. It's this shape right here.
Okay.
So this is my coat on the bottom. So I'm using those colors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to come back. So I've blown this up quite a bit. I keep forgetting I did that.
You're
And,
coming back and
okay, so I'm trying to mimic that shape as much as possible. Just the, I see the underpainting of this in that
oh,
color.
I see.
So that's pretty close to what I wanted. Now I gotta let that dry. So while I have the paint in my hand, it's not pink up here. Down here it's pink. So while I still got that pinkish magenta color in my brush, I'm going to paint this other shape here at the bottom. It goes right across here. It's very clean here. And it goes right across here. Actually, it has even more paint than that. Yeah, that's better. And then I put it down. I'm just painting that shape. Only thing I'm doing is that one shape right there.
Oh, shoot.
And then I'm going to soften the edges and adjust the value once I get this paint down. So I soften the edge with a clean brush, clean damp brush. I didn't say damp, I said clean damp brush. See, I soften that up. See that? Just soften that up a little bit. This will be my first coat that goes on. And while I'm here, I'm going to
Ron,
go,
we can't see the bottom of the eye.
oh. While I'm here, I'm going to pull some of that. So I get some of
Oh,
that.
gosh, it's red and I got yellow. Oh, boy.
Yeah, I put a little more pink in mine. Soften those edges.
But I could do that later, right?
And what I'm doing is just taking a clean brush and putting some of those textures in there. I'm looking
Okay.
very close at my reference photo. I'm not ad-libbing, or what do we call it when you just, I'm not going rogue on this. I like that look a little better. So I'm going to come back the next time. I'm going to get this other shapes in there. Now, this up here is dry, and I really need some of the same colors. So now I'm going to adjust the values. I am looking very close at my reference photo. I'm going to see how close I can get some of these shapes. And it's very light across here. And you're going to see when we're done with this, how impressive it is. I know you're saying, yeah, right. It is very, and I'm gonna soften these edges up.
Is that for you?
I don't know. I can't get it, Bob.
Okay,
You want me to get it?
I'm finished.
That's for you.
Hello. Yes.
So focus on one shape. One shape alone.
Okay.
Let that dry a little bit.
Say that again.
Then I'm gonna move up to this other shape, right underneath the eye. And it's light. But it has some
Okay, I don't think we have anything.
on the
My
top
wife's in
part,
the kitchen.
gives it that contour shape.
We have anything December 7th?
Yes, we do. Something, just a minute. Excuse me, guys.
Okay, we'll listen in.
It would be helpful if they would mute.
I can.
It's like an old party line.
Jeez.
So anyway, what I'm doing is just paying really close attention to my reference drawing and see if I can get as close as I can get to that. And I adjust the value sometimes by lifting while it's still wet. Make sure if you do that, you don't have a lot of water in your brush. I left a little bit, a couple of these little white spots here. I'm just going to leave those for now. And because I want that real light, so I get that same reflection there. So how are y'all doing? Do you have any questions?
This is helpful, Ron.
Good. Now I'm going to put a little texture on here. At first, it looks like I'm going to just let it dry a little bit and it'll come out. And what I'll do is I'm just going to go across that and soften the edges up. So what it does, it leaves that texture. Just let it dry a second. And now when I go over it, you can see what happens. Now I have that texture in there. And then I'm going to go to the next shape is a mid value around the eye. That area right here. Around their eye. It's fairly dark and it's not quite what I consider as red or magenta pink like as the other. But I do want a pretty good mid value. That's it right here. So I think, yeah, it's dry. So there's a soft edge on the bottom, fairly hard edge, but very lots of texture for the eye, so that's suggesting the eyelash there. So I'm gonna come around, I'm gonna soften up that edge here in a second. And there we go, just copying. I'm looking really close at my. So I've got it on there, then I come back in and I'll adjust some of the values with a clean brush. Nothing in the brush. See, I soften that edge right there. And then up here, it goes, it almost is the same value. Keeping those edges nice and soft. We'll come back a little bit and actually put a couple eyebrows in there, eyelashes, just some darkness that suggests that. So what you're trying to do is try to really mimic, I got a little carried away, I'm gonna lift a little bit, mimic, really pay really close attention to your reference photo. And you'll be glad you did. And now I'm gonna come down and put some texture. You might want to watch this if you're not sure how to do that. So what I do is I'm gonna just mimic that and I'll come back in after this dries a little bit. In other words, not all of it will lift off. It looks like that's pretty dark color, but a little bit you'll see that that's not the case. True.
Ron, what size brush are you using?
I'm using a number 6. And now I'm going to take I'm going to let that just dry a little bit. And what happens, not all of it will come off. Yeah, I like that. It'll lose some of that texture. Actually, could let it dry a little longer. Yeah, that's working good. That's what I wanted. Just make sure all my values are right. And that's just enough of those texture marks that will give us the detail. This is more detail than I would normally put in. So it'll be interesting when we back away from that, what that's going to look like. I'm going to come back in and just adjust this a little bit more. That value isn't right. And it definitely has crimson to it. I'm just going to put that there and I'm just going to carry some of that paint over. So I got a hard edge at the top. And just bring some of that down. Focus on one shape at a time. We don't go ahead, we just do one shape at a time. So we're going to do the eyeball next. And there's some cool shapes in there. And if you notice the eye, all the shapes in the eye except for the iris are very soft. So I'm going to paint this one big shape. And to me, this color looks like a black with a touch of pink in it on the edge, just a little bit. So it's grays and blacks. So I'm going to use, in this case, since it's not flesh, I'm going to use burnt sienna. I'm sorry, ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. And I'll get a nice shade, and I'm going to add some red to it when I get over there. So here I go. It's got about 60% or 40% water. I'm just painting this shape here. no detail on it yet. And at the bottom, you can look really close. It's got a shape on it. So that's not done. You know, I'm looking at this and saying, wait, it's a little bit lighter across here. See that? And that goes across here. So what I did is I paid really close attention to my reference photo. And I'm going to add just a touch of red up here in that black while it's wet. And these edges are soft. So that's my first layer. Also the this line here on the edge of the eye is a dark or a gray color. Comes across like this. And I already have the white. I'm going to leave that white to highlight on the eye. And it's a little darker up here and then here. Trying to make sure I get that. Really trying to work on getting those shapes right. While I have that burnt umber, I'm going to put some on the edge here for those eyelashes.
So he started here, here, here. He's doing like micro shapes. You probably want to add your audio.
So the eye's dry. I'll put a nice, adjust the value on the eye itself. And I'm gonna, the whole thing has to be a little darker. So I'm gonna add another layer. And I'm going to pull some of that down. Really trying my best to pay really close attention to the, you can see just this next layer, how much it begins to really paying really close attention to those values and shapes. You know, this layer really added some more details. I did notice, looking at this at a distance, this has a little bit more of a reflection of that flesh tone up here. And also softer edges. Let's soften up that edge. That's better. I did notice this edge here, this corner is not quite that sharp. It's not sharp because of the eye. There's actually an eyelid in there, but that is going to not come across right unless I fix that a little bit. Just take off some of that sharpness. There we go. So the eye is kind of coming together. Pretty decent. Looks like a little bit of a, maybe, I was gonna say brown in there, but I think what I've got's fine. So I'm gonna come back over that with one more wash. With this part darker. There we go. So I'm really focused on getting those shapes right. So I'll put up that a little bit. There we go. That looks, well, it's almost somewhat believable. And this line on the iris, I put a sharp line here. It shouldn't be, so I'm going to lift some of that. Particularly right here, it's very loose. So I just soften up that line a little bit. So one shape at a time. All right, now I'm going higher on the eyebrow. I'm going to put down the first mid-tone I see. This time it doesn't have much red in it up there. So I'm using just that basic flesh tone that we started off with this morning or this afternoon. And then I'm going to take a little bit more. Yeah. As I do it, I want to make sure that's soften, soften, soften. Soften that edge, soften that edge. That's a little bit too okra. So I just, it does need a little pink in it. But while it's still wet, it'd be a good time to do it. I'm just going to do that whole thing. And then I'm going to lift that lighter. So I gave it a little more, take everything out of my brush. It's just very kind of damp. But it works really good for a soft edge when you lift it like that. So I lifted that like I like.
Ron, what are the colors you're using on the upper part of the eyelid?
I'm using yellow ochre and cadmium red, just a thin little bit of the crimson, or Brazilian crimson. And that dark area is going to be crimson and blue at the very top. That real dark area. I'm going to use crimson and blue. I believe. I'm going to test it before I do it. See what that looks. Crimson. And Windsor blue. Yeah. And then I'm going to add that to my flesh tone. It looks like pretty close to what I want. Yeah. It's a little bit wet. I'm going to let that run. It's still wet. I'm going to let that just let it absorb and soften that edge again. It's going to get much darker. So now I have a nice gradation. I'm pretty close to mimicking what I see. I just need to adjust some more values in a couple places, but it's beginning to look right. Here, some more textures. It wouldn't hurt to have a couple in here. I'm just gonna use a couple brush strokes just to suggest there's some textures going on. Underneath that eyelid, it's gradated. And a dark spot, I'm gonna use a little more blue in that spot, and then I'm gonna, after I get it dark, then I'm gonna add my flush color to the side of it. So what it does, it starts off with a very dark color, and then it blends into over to the flesh tone. So I'm gonna go a little like that. And then when I go through that, it picks up that dark tone. So I get that nice soft edge I wanted. And then there's a little dark spot here. I'm really paying a close attention to my reference photo. And this line here is very soft. So most of the lines are soft on this. So I softened up that line. And every little detail, every time we put another layer on, it really begins to take shape. We're starting to look like something like an eyeball. This shape up here I didn't have right. So looking at my photograph, and that's not the right shape. So adjust that while it's still a little damp. There, that's closer to what we've got here. Yeah, more of a shadow that's being cast. Gotta fix my squeaky chair. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not. So I'm adjusting, I look at it, each shape, I'm now looking at one value compared to the other. And this looks darker to me because there's a shadow, I think, in this. So something like that. That's probably closer to what I need. And the eyeball is not white. It has some grayish tint to it. So I've got a little, using a little bit of that blue with a little burnt umber or burnt sienna. So it's a little bit on the burnt sienna side. I'm gonna see what that looks like. That's what I wanted. And then we're gonna lift a little bit. So it looks rounded. This will need a couple more coats. This really looks better once you've taken out the whiteness of the eyeball. So is anybody at a point where they can show me how they're doing?
Sure, Brian.
Okay.
Sure.
Turn your
Sorry. I gotta turn my, I have to turn my camera on.
There we go. Oh, wow. Doesn't that feel good?
What's that?
I mean, it feels better. Look at the results. That's really nice. Just
Okay,
really
thank you.
paying close attention to your reference photo. You did that for the whole thing. It's gonna pay off big time.
Okay,
And Joanne,
Yeah.
very nice, taking time. It looks like you're really taking your time. Looking at your, I love the colors you used in the eye. A little bit off on the eyelid. It gets darker at the top there on that eyelid just above the eye. On up, on up. The next shape above that. Yeah, it's darker right in there. See that?
Okay. All right.
And then you need that because it's it says a lot about the skin texture and about what's going on there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, oh, very nice. Now, a couple of things on, now you're putting lines where there's not lines on the edge of those eyebrows. Just be careful, those are hard edges on those lines. See them? Look at your reference photo, especially the lines on the eyelids. And they're very subtle.
So
But-
soften those edges?
Yeah, just soften those up, and so they're not so dark or so much looks like a line drawn. Very good. And Jennifer, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm a late starter though,
All right,
very late.
well, that's all right. Oops, I highlighted the wrong one, sorry. It happens to a lot of people like it. Let's see, where are you? Oh. Okay, here I got you.
It's not me.
There. Very nice. Yeah, I like you're paying attention to your reference photo. Don't put anything on there unless you see it on the reference photo. And that's nicely drawn too. Very good.
Thank you.
And Margaret? Oh my, yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. Nicely done, Margaret.
Thank you.
Real. Yeah, great. Yep. All right, proud of you guys. About time. Just kidding. Wow. So you can see, it's interesting as my painting dries, some of the little staining texture here suggesting veins. See how that dried? And that's pretty pretty close to what I wanted to do. Now I'm going to adjust, I don't like that purple color, but I knew that was going to be that way. And what you do after you lay that color in, you come back in with some of that, with some color. So you got your value established. All you gotta do is change the tint of it a little bit. And also I'm looking at the shape. So I just changed, I didn't like that purple, so I just put a little red on it. And it's doing what I wanted to do. Now, I'm gonna use a little of that same color along here. And I don't want to leave a line there. So what I'll do is lift some of that. And this is where the paper towel comes in really handy. I can lift that up and just soften it ever so much. That's the shape I wanted, just didn't want it quite that dark. That's about what I want right there. Now I'm gonna come back with the eyelashes later, but I can't do the eyelashes because they come all the way across over into this other shape. So I can't do that until I have that shape done. So let me start that shape. This is a pretty good size shape. There's no way of doing this area here without doing it all at once, because it's a wash. So I'm going to take a number 16 brush. And I'm going to only put in some water at the top. Just water up there at the top of this shape, because I want it to be really light. Then I'm going to come in with my color that we're using, like we talked about, which is yellow ochre and crimson red. And a little more yellow ochre there. There we go. That's about what I want right there. And I'm going to bring, this won't be darkness. I'm going to bring this right across here. That's still wet up there. And I'm just going to do this shape here. And this will be only the first layer. And I can stop it here if I want, because the eyelash can do that for me. So I'm going to bring some of that up, and I'm going to use a brush to almost help me suggest. And then I'm going to keep feathering that up using brush strokes like this that follow that texture in the skin. I'm going to keep following that up.
Did you have pretzels?
This is already really wet, so it's going to be really light up here. Now, this is just my first layer. And there's a little color over here. And that's my first layer of this color. So establish that, and that's just the first layer. So it looks a little orangey, but that's okay. What I'll do is the next layer, I'll make sure it has a little more crimson and maybe a little, a little crimson probably. And while I have that color in my brush, I'm going to bring that down because this needs to be a soft edge. I'm going to go ahead and do this. And it's not good, that's too dark, but I knew that. Now where I lift that, soft those edges up. Look at that, that's cool. Soft that up. That almost played out perfectly. Almost. Yeah, that's exactly what I want. Yep. So what I want you to keep trying is painting, and it's a discipline. Because what happens is you kind of forget where you are and just move ahead to the next shape. Don't do that. Don't put any shape, put any lines down unless you see it on the reference photo. So that's pretty dry, and so I'm going to soften up these edges here. And I'm using my yellow ochre. I'm using some Brazilian crimson. And I'm using a touch of ultramarine, no, I'm using blue. It's the dark blue in there. And so I'm gonna put this shape in, knowing the values aren't right yet. And then adjust this so it's soft, because it gets really soft edges. Something like that. Soft edges. I use some strokes up here for this to get me some suggestion of some veins. Just use this color in here. Knowing I'm not done with it yet. Sometimes we put this in thinking that doesn't look right. You know, you're keep in mind what your goal is, you know, how you're setting this up. There we go. That looks pretty decent. Might get a blossom there. I don't know. Let's see. I got that shape not quite right. It goes, see that shape that goes down this way a little bit. I'm looking at my reference photo. What a concept. This particular color just next to her nose seems like a touch of violet in it. So I added just a little bit of blue to the crimson. This will just be my first layer. And I'm going to put in some of the shapes I see there. There's texture rather. And I'm going to let those dry just a little bit. Now let's try it. I'm going to start up here. Gradation. I come down and those shapes will still be there because I let them dry a little bit. They're still there, but just enough to where you hardly see them. And this gradates.
Reference photo.
So I'm gonna just, sit back from this, look at my values. And just looking at some I'm gonna fix.
It looks like you would paint a flower petal.
Yeah. Very similar to painting a flower petal, by the way.
Ron, what is that color you're putting on right now?
Putting in, it's yellow ochre and cadmium red with Brazilian crimson. Crimson has just a touch, a little blue in it to just do what you want to do sometimes. So I'm using this to kind of come back with some of the vein that I see for the textures. So if we zoom out. So I want everybody to take a minute and look at it from a distance. Just get out of your chair, at least give it 4, 8 feet away. And see what it's, you can see how the values are working and the contour shapes. How you doing? I think we're having too much fun, I think. That's the problem. So when I look back at mine, I see some values that are off. Right here at this area right here. That's off a little bit, so I need to darken that. There's a little white spot in there. That's not too bad here. Eyes okay. I like the texture down here. And then this has to be another wash over this. Up here, I need to, got too much of a line across here. So I need to break that up. Soften it some more. I'm just gonna lift that. And that should do just what I want. First, I wetten it. And then I just pull some of that paint up a little bit. keeping in mind, I want those textures. Yeah. So that did it. That's what I wanted. It softened it up. And if we were to do the whole painting this way, tell me what you think it might look like.
Hopefully the photograph.
Yeah, or at least more realistic, right? Yeah. And sometimes that's exactly what you want to do. Yeah, it just depends. You know, commission pieces, people want them to be pretty close. They don't want the photograph, but they want it pretty closer to a photograph than the surrealist, the traditional watercolors. And this would be one approach to how you can do that. Oh, I'm gonna put a couple eyelashes on there. I don't normally put much eyelash, but for something a little more realistic, I'm gonna put just a couple. We'll start off with them light. So they kind of go across here.
What color are you using for the eyelashes?
I'm using burnt sienna and burnt umber. I mean, burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. Just the black. Just a little bit more on the brown side.
Ron, it's our last class. You can go wild, Ron.
All right, let's go wild. Yeah, normally I don't do this. This is breaking off from the, the norm here a little bit. That sharp line out. There we go. There we go. That's what we wanted to do. Just soften that up a little bit. Okay, to have a little bit of that, but not too much.
Ron, can you go tighter on your eyelashes?
Sure. Something like that.
I don't even see them.
Oh. Do I have my, yeah, that's hardly there, right? Yeah, a little bit here. I just mainly is, I look more for that shape I saw. Than I was worrying about the eyelashes. There's just a little shape like here. Soften it up a little bit. Something like that. I think it'll dry about what I want. We'll see. Famous last words.
Ron, we're down to 5 minutes.
Yeah, let's take a look at what you guys did. I'm anxious.
Okay, here we go. Kind of looks,
Nice. Wow.
like an angry chicken.
Very nice. Wow. Uh, Should be proud of that. Who else? Joanne? You guys are, okay. Wendy. Oh, wow. I like it a lot. Yeah, soften up the, oh, that's beautiful. Nicely done. Nicely done. Anybody else? Okay, Margaret. Beautiful, Jay.
You know what, Ron?
That's nice.
You have helped me conquer my fear of faces. Thank you very much.
Is it any particular face or just faces in general?
Faces in general. I've avoided painting or drawing people all my life.
Yeah. Well, all you do is take one shape at a time.
Right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Who else? Anybody else? Did we get anybody else who wanted to show and tell? I know Joanne, Mary's anxious.
I'm done with today, I think.
Nice.
I think I learned a lot.
Good. That was kind of the idea, wasn't it?
It was kind of the idea, yeah. And you know what? You made me slow down and look.
Yep.
That's the whole thing. Slow down and look.
Okay. Put that back up again with Jennifer. Yeah, that came out really nice. Nice colors, nice attention to just enough detail, and also you're getting the values right. That's making a big difference for you.
I'm
Nice.
getting the hang of it.
Yeah, I guess so. You guys get too good, you'll be teaching this and taking over a competition. Okay, well, we're going to wind it up. Does anybody else have anything they want to talk about or say, or questions, or,
Ronald, Ronald, I want to say that I've been real quiet. Just, I'm
Not
sorry.
till now.
looks like you're quiet.
I'm sorry. I've had surgery, is why I've been quiet. And this is my doctor. I've got to take this call.
Okay, I'm gonna mute you. Okay, sound like she'll say something really important and deep, but I got you muted. Okay,
Yes, I'm sorry. I was in a class and I was just trying.
okay. Anyway, I wanted to thank all of you. This was really, I have to say, one of the most fun classes I've had. At your expense, of course, because of the variety, and also what I was pleased with is the amount of personal development all of you had. I've got to take my hats off to you. I think I've seen quite a bit of improvement, a whole lot of like light bulbs going off, like it's really clicking. And once you get that, then you just keep growing it. So well done, way to go, and I'm proud of you. I will be starting another Zoom class in January. I do have a few people interested in that already. So if you're interested, it'll be on my website. It will be a portrait class, and it'll focus a little bit more on the work you're doing. We'll have a practice, but we will work on your paintings a little more during the session. So I'll do the demo and show you some stuff, and then ask you to start applying it. Now, what we don't want is for you to change your whole technique in the middle of your portrait. But the first day it'll be quite a bit of discussion about the overall approach we want to take on the portrait. And we'll do another one in class, but I really want to focus on helping you with the portrait you pick. So whoever's in on that, take that in their back of your mind, and that's the way we'll go. So anyway, we're going to sign off and thank you to everybody. This will, of course, be available online, YouTube.
Thanks, and everybody have a nice holiday.
Thank you, thank you, thank
Happy
you.
holidays.
Happy
you.
holidays, happy holidays. Now,
Bye.
don't feel like you guys have to send me a bunch of gifts, don't. Okay,
Okay. Hold
Thank
your
you very much.
well, Joanne, I know will.